Hi everybody. If you haven't used our Enartis Stability Laboratory before, today I'm going to take the opportunity to introduce you to how we can help you and what our service offers. Of course, there are many benefits to using colloids for stability of wine as opposed to cold stability. This includes preservation of aroma, acid, cost effectiveness and sustainability. So the products that we generally focus on in the laboratory is Cellogum LV 20, which is our 20% CMC. We also have two KPA products, Zenith Uno and Zenith Color, and we have really seen some awesome results with KPA, even in comparison to our CMC. So it's really exciting. And yeah, just to say something more on these two products, Zenith Uno is generally used on white and rosé wines, and then Zenith Color is our revolutionary red wine product, which is able to stabilize both color and tartrates in your red wines. And just to compare KPA to existing additives, beta-tartaric acid and CMC, first of all, it's, as I mentioned, more efficient than the existing products. It is on the short term comparable to the efficiency of beta-tartaric acid, but of course, moving on to the next point, KPA has a much longer effect, where beta-tartaric acid loses its effect very, very quickly depending on the temperature and time it's exposed to. And in terms of filterability, KPA is very filterable. And last but not least, where CMC, for instance, has a negative effect on wine color, KPA does not have an effect on stable color. But it is very important to trial this and to use with caution if you are using on any wine that contains color. So our laboratory was established in 2013. This means that we have 7 years experience with stability on hundreds of wine samples. So I have to say it has really helped us to feel very confident in the products that we recommend to you and the way we work. Our aim is to take the guesswork out of stability in those pre-bottling final steps to make you have a more stress-free experience pre-bottling. Patty Jo Davids is our lab analyst, and she is at your service. To just go through the steps that we take in the lab, first of all, one of the specs that a wine should adhere to before adding any of these colloids is to have an NTU preferably below 1. So if we receive a sample from you and it's not clean yet, the first step that we do is to filter it, typically through 0.45 micron. But obviously, depending on what actions you take in the cellar, we can adapt our methods in the lab to that. As soon as the samples are clean, we then analyze a control sample in our tartar check conductivity machine, which will give us an idea of how the wine is looking in terms of stability. The value that we get helps us to decide which dosages we would then add to the samples, and then we would again analyze with a tartar check to see if the wine is suited for any particular treatment. The values that we look at needs to be below 30 to be stable, and that is the spec that we look at here. The third thing we do is to also expose the wine to 3 days at 40 degrees Celsius when it has been treated. Obviously, it's very important that a wine needs to be protein stable when we receive the sample. And this is then an extra test that we do just to make sure there's no interaction between the added colloid and any positively charged particles in the wine. The result that we get from this test should be below 1.5. And then probably the most important thing that we look at is fridge test results. We do 6-day fridge test at -4 degrees Celsius, and we check very cautiously for any precipitation after that. After we did all these steps, we then release a formal report to you to tell you what was found. And just to show you 2 examples of the success we see with our red wine product Zenith Color, To the left, we have a Stellenbosch red blend that was treated in the middle with 150 ml per hectoliter Zenith color, and to the right with 200 ml per hectoliter Zenith color. And you can see even at the lower dose that complete stability was obtained here. And to the right, we have a Carignan 2018 that was heavily tartrate and color unstable, and even at 100 ml per hectoliter there was a vast improvement, but there was still some color present. So the ideal treatment there would then have been 200 ml per hectoliter of Zenith color. And that is how our lab works. Please send us your samples and help us give you a stress-free bottling experience.